extra session of clearing your doubts and getting your, things across. Okay, so from the coming week we are starting. I won't say next week, the coming week. I just have to check your timetable availability, and accordingly I'll have to place a slot for it. Okay, but so we were talking about sexual reproduction and flowering plants, and in the last class we have completed till the female gametogenesis, right? Which, yeah, a very important point we have covered in the last class. And if you have, yeah, and if you have, understood the concluding last 15 minutes of the lecture, we had a class on Wednesday, and last 15 minutes of the lecture was the most crucial part of your, it was the heart of this chapter, I would say, because if you understand that, only then it's going to be, your coming fertilization events in the flowering plants will be understood. Otherwise, you won't understand anything. So, of course, we have completed how the female gamete is going to be formed. We have done in detail about it. So, quickly, I'll just have a recap about it. And I'll just, in very quick mode, I'll explain right from the beginning. So, the fourth wall of the flower was the gynoecium, which is made up of carpel or pistil, which is going to be made up of style, stigma, and ovary. The stigma is the landing stage where the pollen grains are going to get deposited, correct? The style is going to be the pathway or the connector between the stigma and the ovary through which the pollen grains are going to make the pollen tube and enter into the, to reach the female gamete. And the ovary was having the placental tissue, that was the nutritive tissue, which was connected with the ovules, right? And when we saw no, I am not going to do like that way. They are going to, that thing has already been done with it. Okay, so the ovules which were present were attached with the help of the funicle to the placenta, and the part of the funicle which was attached to the ovule was leaving a scar called as hilum, right? When we saw the structure of the ovule, we saw that it is made up of multicellular structure called as nucellus, which is made up of sporogenous cells. And one of the cells of the nucellus acts like megaspore mother cell, that is MMC, which will undergo meiosis. After undergoing meiosis, it's going to form 4 haploid megaspores. 3 out of the 4 are going to get degenerated, which are going to lie towards the microphylar end, and one which is going to lie towards the chalazal end is going to be functional megaspore. We saw in the functional megaspore how 3 mitotic divisions were taking place to give rise to 8 nucleated structure. This 8 nucleated structure rearranged themselves to form 3 antipodal cells, 2 synergids, and 1 egg cell. The 2 synergids with the egg cell was called as the egg apparatus, and the entire assembly was called as the embryo sac. Correct? This is what we had seen in the last class, that how the egg formation has taken place. So, this is the most crucial event of this entire chapter, because unless and until this is not clear with you all now, to understand the fertilization, embryo development, and endosperm development is, not going to be that easy. So that is the reason I had that day also told you that one major part of your 12th standard syllabus, so it's a part of your boards as well. This chapter is going to be asked in your boards as well. So they do ask you this question, explain with diagram the megasporogenesis and female gametogenesis. So from your board point of view also, we have completed a very important part in the last 15-20 minutes, especially of the lecture. This particular thing was done. Anyway, so I hope that you all have already followed this, And assuming that there is, like there's going to be a, clearance about male gametogenesis and female gametogenesis. Now we have to go ahead with what, how the two gametes can be brought together. How is it possible that the female gametes reaches the male gametes reaches the female gametes? Okay, but here the problem is, see, in human reproduction chapter that we had seen, we knew that the spermatozoa are motile, and they can reach the egg or the secondary oocyte in case of human reproduction chapter. But here the problem is the male gametes are also non-motile and the egg is also non-motile. Okay, so how the things are going to be then, processed is something that we have to understand. Okay, to begin with this particular journey, that how the male gametes are going to get transferred onto the female gametes, the process is going to be called as pollination. Okay. So embryo sac is developed inside one of the haploid tetrad. Yes, beta. That haploid tetrad is only going to be called as your functional megaspore, which is going to be ultimately called as the embryo sac. Right? Got it? You're right. You're right, my dear. So then, let's go ahead with the pollination. Okay. The process of transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or different flower is going to be called as pollination. So pollination is nothing, it is transport of the pollen grains, okay? And it's going to be from one flower to another stigma. Now that stigma could be of the same flower, or it could be on the different flower, it could be on the same plant, it could be on the different plant, whatever. Okay, so that particular event is called as pollination. Now this particular part is very simple, very easy, and it's like, you're not going to lose a single mark in this. Fine, and questions are going to be asked from this part. So pollination is going to be of two types, self-pollination and cross-pollination. In self-pollination, again, we have got two types, autogamy and deuterogamy. Autogamy is transfer of pollen to the stigma of the same flower. Udar ke udar hi. In that one single flower itself, the pollen are going to get deposited on the stigma. Okay, that is autogamy. Deuterogamy means, see, different flower of the same plant, different flower of the same plant is deuterogamy. Okay, so there are two flowers side by side, fine, and the pollen are going to be transferred from this flower to the stigma of the other flower, but that other flower is also on the same plant. Okay, that's called as deuterogamy. Then we have got cross-pollination, which is going to be xenogamy or allogamy. Xenogamy may, it's going to be natural, pollination that is taking place, and allogamy is something, a synonym of xenogamy. And there is one more which is not mentioned here, that is hybridization, wherein human beings are involved in, crossing it artificially. That's called as hybridization. But by nature, there is only one, that is xenogamy, also called as allogamy. Fine. Here what happens, see, flowers of different plants of the same species. Okay. So of the same species, that means, suppose in my society, there is one, say, the plant of Hibiscus rosa sinensis. That's your shoe flower. Okay. Say in the next lane, okay, there's another Hibiscus rosa sinensis ka plant. Fine. And due to some reasons, due to some agents, the pollen from my particular society ka flower has got transferred onto the other lane ka society ka flower. So that is going to be your xenogamy, where the flowers are also different and the trees are also different altogether. No connection directly, but they belong to the same species. So that is going to be called as your xenogamy. Fine. So in self-pollination, autogamy and deuterogamy. In cross-pollination, xenogamy, also called as allogamy, and hybridization. Okay. And what are the different agents that are involved in transfer of this pollen grain? So see, abiotic agents is wind and water. which is called as anemophily and hydrophily respectively. So wind pollination is called as anemophily. What do you mean by that? Wind is going to act like a, like an agent for the transfer of this pollen grains. Water is going to be acting like the agents for the pollen grains transfer. That's going to be hydrophily. Or it could be biotic agents, that is living agents like insects. If insect pollination takes place, it's called as entomophily. Birds, ornithophily. Bats, chirapterophily. Some people pronounce it as chirapterophily. It's your wish. I believe in, pronouncing it as chirapterophily. Snails, sometimes even snails are going to be involved, okay? So if snails are going to be involved in this pollination, it's going to be called as malcophily. And if snakes are going to be involved in transfer of pollen, it's going to be called as ophiophily. Okay? Yes, initial 1 minute, I'll do it. 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay. Bats, yeah, bats also are going to be very good agents, especially in certain, flowers. I'll show you, like, I'll teach you that also, that which flowers are going to be pollinated by bats, which flowers are going to be pollinated by birds, and so on. Yeah. Even snakes and snails are involved. Yes, it's just slow, of course. Won't they get me degenerate till the time? No, there are some flowers which are going to have, we saw na that day, the viability of the pollen is going to be for 3 to 4 months also. It's going to happen with them. Snake also, yeah. Snakes are involved, especially in, I'll tell you, the names. Santalum. You know what is Santalum? Santalum plants पता है? सबको पता है, लेकिन उसको संतालम बोलते ये नहीं पता. Santalum is sandalwood. Sandalwood is Santalum. Okay. So in Chandan बोलते हैं ना हम लोग, चंदन का पेड़, sandalwood का पेड़. Yes, Chandan, yes beta. So those sandalwoods, जहाँ sandalwood के trees होते हैं ना, it's going to be having a lot of snakes. So snakes are indirectly, they don't come to know that they're involved in these, they're acting as pollinating agents. They just move from one tree to another tree, from one flower to another flower. And an event of moving, they perform these transfers. Yeah, cool nature. Yes. Due to its cool nature. Yes, my dear. Perfectly right. So there are many that you will come to know about, many interesting facts that you will come to know about. Even the chirapterophily, the bats, they are so huge actually, but even they are involved in pollination indirectly. So how and all I talk about it. It's very beautiful and interesting part. Okay. So this is just, I've given you the gist of it, that how things are going to be progressing. So we have to go into the details of all of them, of course. So we'll first talk about the self-pollination. Self-pollination involves the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of the same flower or of flower born on the same plant. It's of two types, autogamy and titanotomy. Autogamy is a kind of pollination in which the pollen from the anther of a flower are transferred to the stigma of the same flower, for example, peas. Yes, Vaishnavi, you're right. You know peas? मटार खाते हो ना? हाँ, तो पीस के जो फ्लावर्स होते हैं ना, उनका पॉलिनेशन जो होता है वो ऑटोगैमी है. इट्स गोइंग टू बी ऑटोगैमी. सेकंड, डिटेनोगैमी. It is a kind of pollination in which the pollen from the anther of one flower are transferred to the stigma of another flower born on the same plant. So the plant should be same. Okay, that is ditenogamy. It usually occurs in plants which show monoecious condition. We have already done in detail about the monoecious condition, dioecious condition, monocarpic plants, annuals, biennials. We have done all these things in the chapter of reproduction in organisms. So I'm sure you know what is monoecious condition, right? That is, of course, unisexual. That's male and female flowers are born on the same plant, but not in the same flower, right? Deuterogamy involves two flowers, but these belong to the same plant. It is functionally cross-pollination, but genetically it is self-pollination. You know na why genetically? Same plant है तो उस plant के जो genes male में है वही genes female में होंगे. Correct? The genes are not going to change because the parental plant is the same. But it involves agents for the transfer of the pollen. So it's functionally cross-pollination. In your board exam, this comes for 2 marks. In your board exams, your 12th standard board exam, this question comes for 2 marks. Deuterogamy is functionally cross-pollination, but genetically self-pollination. Justify. So you need to give justification for this. Okay, that is, though agents are involved in the transfer of pollen grains and the flowers are different, yet they are present on the same plant. So the genetic makeup of both the worlds is going to be the same. Hence, it's going to be self-pollination. But since agents are involved, it's going to be functionally cross-pollination. So this is the way you'll have to give justification to your question in your board exams. In the competitive exams, you need not explain anything, you should know the fact. गोले बनाते ही जाना है और कुछ नहीं करना है ना? लेकिन बोर्ड एग्जामिनेशन में आपको ये जस्टिफिकेशन 2 मार्क्स के लिए आता है बेटा, एंड यू नीड टू गिव अ राइट आंसर लाइक दिस. ओके, example is cucurbits. Cucurbits is your cucumber family. That's cucumber, bottle gourd, lawki, दूधी, beetle gourd, करेला, है ना? Snake gourds, gourds, all of them, pumpkin, they all belong to cucurbits. They all are cucurbits. Okay, that family is called as Cucurbitaceae family. Okay, so any difficulty with this particular slide? Anyone has got any problem or any doubts in this? Yeah, Shirara. Yes, in Marathi we call it Shirara. Yes, correct. Then what else? Anyone having any difficulty with the content, Papa? यहाँ पर किसी को भी? No, we'll go ahead. Okay, it's simple but still. Yeah, look at this. The diagram shows it very beautifully. If you look at the diagram, yeah. So this is going to be what? See, this is your self-pollination in which autogamy has been shown. So this is a single flower over here, and the pollen are coming onto the stigma of the same flower, and here the plant is the same. The flowers are different. So the pollen from this flower is getting deposited on the stigma of the other flower belonging to the same plant. Okay, so that's about the if still anyone has got any difficulty in understanding this, so diagram makes it very simple. है ना? Merits. Pollen grains are not wasted because the stigma is present very close by in its own vicinity, in its own area. So there is no problem of wastage of pollen grain. The purity of the generation is maintained. That means when two different parents are involved, there is going to be contamination of genes, as we say. What do you mean by contamination? That means one of the parents will give its own type of genetic makeup. The other parent will give its own type of genetic makeup in the offspring, right? Right. So it's going to be the offspring will be having a part of paternal genes and a part of maternal genes. So it's a mixture of both the parental genes. So we call it as a contamination. On the other hand, when it is uniparental, single parent is involved, as in case of this, there is no contamination. The purity of gametes is maintained. The purity of the generation is maintained. That's the positive side of self-pollination. But look at the negative side of self-pollination. What are the demerits? No, technically it is not called as contamination, but some books use the word that because there is going to be a mixture of two different genes coming together, the original genetic makeup is contaminated, is what the book says. Okay, but the nature will select the best of the genes to be expressed in the offspring. which will be doing it in genetics wale chapters, that how, you know, beautifully the best genes are going to be, you know, inculcated in the gametes, and that gamete is going to be the one who is going to get incorporated as a part of the embryo. That will be talking in genetics. What are the demerits? See? Yeah, survival of the fittest. Very correct, very perfect. Yeah. So what are the demerits? Let us see the demerits of self-pollination. New and healthier varieties are not formed. So as I said just now, this, you know, like the best of the genes are going to be selected to enter into the progeny. So new varieties and better varieties would be formed. But in this case, there's no scope. It results in weaker progeny. Progeny means next generation. Okay. So it results in weaker progeny, producing weaker seeds and weaker plants as well. So overall health of that particular plant will, you know, every generation after generation might get weaker and weaker and deteriorated. So that is a very, a common thing that is seen in, many plants. Fine. So those are the demerits of self-pollination. So they ask you distinguish between self-pollination self-pollination and cross-pollination. So these points are going to help you in actually, distinguishing between these two. Okay. Carried forward. Yeah. Of course, genes are being carried forward. Yes. From one parent to another parent. Correct. Very right. Very right. Okay. Now here, won't that threaten the survival of that plant? It might even get endangered. Yes, but it does get. And so then we come up with certain hybridization techniques. Okay, at least for the economically important plants. There are so many plants which are in the wild, like in the jungles, and maybe they have got endangered or they have, become extinct also. We really don't know, right? Well, now what are the contrivances for self-pollination? Contrivances का मतलब होता है adaptations. What do you mean by the word contrivances? Adaptations. What are the adaptations? How the plants get adapted to go ahead with self-pollination. That is called as contrivances. Fine. The major contrivances or adaptations which favor self-pollination are bisexuality. So if the flowers are bisexual, or if the organisms are hermaphrodites, of course, there is more chances of self-pollination. So what do you mean by bisexual? One flower having anther as well as carpel inside it. That will be called as a bisexual flower. Correct? Homogamy, again a very important point, beta. Anthers and stigma of the bisexual flowers of some plants mature at the same time. That means if the anther is ready with the pollen, and if the ovary is yet to develop the ovule, then in spite of the pollen grains falling on the stigma, is it of any use? No use. So both the male and the female reproductive whorls should mature at the same time. That is called as homogamy. Okay, kindly remember these names and these words, my dears. These are technical terms and these are asked very frequently in your examinations. So what do you mean by homogamy? When both the reproductive whorls, the male and the female reproductive whorls, mature at the same time, only then self-pollination is going to be possible. Okay. The two structures, the male and the female reproductive structures, are brought close to each other by growth or by bending or by folding to ensure self-pollination. This condition is called as homogamy. Example is Mirabilis jalapa, which is a 4 o'clock plant. You have seen this 4 o'clock plant? We all have seen, but we don't know it's called as Mirabilis jalapa. Its flowers are going to bloom at 4 o'clock exactly. They are red colored, white colored, and pink colored flowers. No, not Ratrani. Those are white in color. These are pink, red. ये evening वाला 4 o'clock. Evening वाला. Pink color के flowers होते हैं, like a board shaped structure. They are going to be. Which country time? We are talking about India. So you might have seen them. They are generally pink color के सबसे ज़्यादा दिखते हैं, but it's white also and it's red also. Okay. No, not lotus, not lotus. This is going to be found in many societies now. They have this. If you go to any gardens and all now, you will see this. The petals are very thin and very delicate type. Okay. Huh. Flowers or anthers and stigma. I didn't get you. They mean flower. Flowers. Flowers are going to be, you know, sometimes even anthers will bend over the carpel or carpel will bend over the anther. They just want to ensure that the pollination takes place. So this is called as Mirabilis jalapa, 4 o'clock plant. Catharanthus, you know Vinca. Vinca pata hai na? Vinca rosea. Vinca plant. Periwinkle. That is Catharanthus. Okay. Even that is going to have this homogamy. Potato, sunflower, wheat, rice, all are the examples of homogamy. That means in all these plants, the anther and the stigma are going to mature at the same time, causing self-fertilization to occur, self-pollination to occur. Okay. Not bougainvillea. No, bougainvillea is different. Bougainvillea is different. It looks somewhat like that, but it's different. Okay. So bisexuality and homogamy are the two important points for contrivances of self-pollination. आगे भी है. यहाँ तक कोई difficulty है? Adaptations for self-pollination. Plug these pollen and try to sprinkle them on and fertilize. Yeah, it occurs, but rather this experiment is there for you all to do in your examinations. In your 12th standard now, you will have this experiment to be, you know, conducted. Also, both the structures. Yeah. You're right, right, beta. Hermaphrodite means both male and female sex organs in the same organism. Correct. Okay. Wait. Then third contrivance or third adaptation is cleistogamy. Cleisto का मतलब होता है closed. What do you mean by the word cleisto? Closed. Okay. In this case, the flowers never open, as opposed to most flowers which open exhibiting chasmogamy. Chasmo means opening, cleisto means closed. So some flowers, you know, even after they bloom, they don't open. The you know, the flowers are going to remain in a closed condition only. Now, when they remain in the closed condition, is it possible for their stamens to get exposed or their carpels to get exposed for pollination? No. Right? So in cleistogamy also, it's always going to be self-pollination. Right? So in cleistogamous flowers, the pollens are shed within the closed flowers, so that self-pollination is obligatory, compulsory, mandatory. Right? Cleistogamy is seen in underground flowers of Commelina bengalensis, which are small and inconspicuous. So this Commelina bengalensis now, these are going to be you know, flowers which are going to be found underground. They do have normal flowers also, Commelina has got both type of flowers, chasmogamous as well as cleistogamous. Okay, but the cleistogamous flowers are always going to show self-pollination. Okay, this plant also bears chasmogamous flowers above. Cleistogamy is also seen in balsam plant, Viola tricolor, Pansy as we call it, Oxalis, Portulaca, Payasum, Arachis, etc. So no need of remembering the names of all of them. Just remember Commelina and Viola. Okay, Comella and Viola. Okay. Homogamy means maturation at same time and coming close to each other in order to successful self-pollination. Yes, my dear. Perfect. How will they germinate after pollination? They are going to, like for example, if I tell you arachis का example अगर मैं दे दूँ तो तुम्हें सबको पता चलेगा. You know what is arachis? Groundnut. So in case of groundnuts, payasam means pea. Yes, correct. Bilkul correct. Payasam is pea. Arachis is groundnut. Okay. Pansy though, it's very common. Pansy is, you know, like many people have these as ornamental flowers also in their compound or even in their houses also they keep, right? Yeah, so all of them are going to have clistogamous flowers. Chasmogamous, the flowers, normal flowers, which are open, which open after blooming, are called as chasmogamous flowers. And those flowers which remain closed even after maturation are clistogamous flowers. Okay, so clisto and chasmo, कोई difficulty है बेटा? But Comelena याद रखिएगा, Comelena and Viola, both words are there in your NCERT, so you should know both the names. Okay. So first was the contrivance was bisexuality. Second was homogamy. Third is clistogamy. All the three are resulting in self-pollination. Correct? Got it? Okay. So three contrivances we have seen up till now for self-pollination. Now we go ahead with cross-pollination. Cross-pollination involves the transfer of pollen grains from the flower of one plant to the stigma of the flower of another plant on, like some other area, or in different the plant is different altogether. This is called as xenogamy. The diagram shows it very well. This is one different plant, this is another different plant, and the pollens from this are being transferred onto this. Cross pollination, right? Merits. So merits are going to be, of course, the demerits of those are going to be the merits of these, and vice versa. So what are the merits of your seed? Seeds are more, their seeds were less. I mean, the pollen were less. Here the seeds are more. They are more viable. Viable means they can sustain their, fertilization capacity for a longer time. Progenies are healthier. Adaptability is better. They can adapt to the surviving conditions. New varieties can be produced. Okay. What are the demerits? The merits of that would be the demerits of these. What is it? The process is not definite because plants depend on agencies. So if one of the agents is absent or gets extinct or is not available, then the pollination is going to be at stake. Then who would take care of that pollination, right? So that is one of the drawbacks of cross-pollination. Large amount of pollen grains are wasted. So that was the merit over there, that pollen grains are not wasted. Here pollen grains are wasted. There it was more reliable because they don't have to depend on any agencies. Here they have to depend on agencies for pollination. Okay, so these are very simple, right? So if in your board examination it comes distinguish between self and cross pollinations for 2 marks, you ought to write 4 points. You ought to write 4 points. And the 5th point will be of your examples. So please, again, I'm repeating this thing. I think I had told you all earlier that in your board examination, the number of marks is always going to be half mark per point. And if you don't write the example now, they will deduct your half mark even if you have written 4 points. And if you write write 4 points and you don't write example, half mark cut. If you write 3 points and 4th point will be your example, still half mark cut. So what is expected as a student from you all? 4 points of distinguish with the 5th point of example. Only then you will get full 2 marks. So अगर आपको पूरे के पूरे 2 marks चाहिए board examination में, so this is the rule that you have to follow. Okay. So I hope you all have understood between self and cross. Any difficulty in this? Any doubts in this? Anyone who has not have, anything, clarity नहीं है, ऐसा कोई point है? Good, that's easy. Then we go ahead with the contrivances of the cross-pollination, that is adaptations, again, for cross-pollination to occur. It's also called as outbreeding device. Half mark for each point, beta. Half mark for each point. For 2 marks ka question, you have to write 4 points. It's 0.5 marks, not 1.5 marks. 0.5, half mark. Okay. Well, yeah. So contrivances for cross-pollination, let us understand these. First is declining, also called as unisexuality. My dears, please remember these terms again, I'm requesting you all. declining, or unisexuality. There it was bisexuality, here it is unisexuality. Okay. In unisexual flowers, stamens and carpels are found in different flowers. So there would be flowers containing only stamen. There would be flowers containing only carpel. So how is self-pollination going to be available over there? Impossible. So in this case, cross-pollination is the only way of transfer of pollen grains, right? Unisexuality could be of two types. First, monoecious. Second, dioecious. As we know, what is monoecious? When male and female flowers are born on the same plant, we call it as monoecious. Means what? One plant having male flowers, having female flowers. Monoecious condition. Example, maize, cucurbits, and castor. You know maize, na? Bhutta, corn, cucurbits, just now I told you. Castor is called as, Marathi we call it erendil. देखा है आपने castor seeds? Castor oil बहुत famous है. It's given as a purgative for curing constipation. Castor. Second type is dioecious. That means when male and female flowers are born on two different plants. So there is a plant having only male flowers and there is a plant having only female flowers. Dioecious. Like we all are dioecious. Males have got only the male reproductive system alag se, and females have got the female reproductive system alag se. Those completely different. Same in case of plants. Plants having only stamens and plants having only carpels. That is dioecious. Okay. Example, Carica papaya. Carica papaya is your papaya. The scientific name of papaya is Carica papaya. Okay. Cannabis and date palm. Date palm is your, you know na, palm, date palms. I don't know. उसको हम खजूर कहते हैं, खारीक कहते हैं, date palms. हाँ, yes, खजूर, yes. Dried one को खारीक कहते हैं, गीले वाले को खजूर कहते हैं, whatever. Okay. And cannabis is something which we'll be doing in human health and diseases in detail. So cannabis is a plant which is going to give us different types of drugs. Drugs means medicinal drugs की बात नहीं कर रही. I'm talking about the actual drugs, which are actually should be used as medicines, but people, use it in a different way. So cannabis के बारे में वो time पे मैं बताऊंगी. Okay. Yes. Cannabis is going to be, it's a plant. Cannabis isn't a drug. So cannabis के inflorescence flowers से कुछ drugs बनाते हैं, उसके roots से कुछ drugs बनाते हैं. I'll talk about all those in the chapter of human health and disease. पूरा डिटेलिंग है किससे कौन सा ड्रग बनता है, हाँ, तब मैं बताऊंगी तुम्हें. So of course, but that plant is like grown for commercial purposes for all these things. Yeah. Okay. So that is what your mono. One page with diagrams alone, which is 16.1 if I'm not wrong. Yeah, 1 point. I don't remember. एक page है, हैं? I'm not audible. My video was stuck. Maybe for a minute there was some problem. Now fine, ना? Yeah. अरे वो network issues कभी-कभी होता है. Yeah. So in your this year's NEET paper, na, there was a question wherein they have asked about a diagram-based question. So I won't tell you now. Otherwise, when the paper will be given for you all to solve, na, that time you already know the answer. But it's there. Okay. Monoecious के ऊपर ही है question. इसलिए मैंने अभी पूछा. Yeah, beta. What's your doubt? If male flower and female flower are present on the same plant, so it will be self-pollination. It would be self-pollination. There are possibilities, because how even that can be avoided, aage aayega. I'll tell you about that. That though they are bisexual plants now, sometimes cross-pollination is the only way of transfer of pollen. How? I'll explain. I'll prove. Neat paper was lengthy this year. Yeah, to some extent, because there were lot many match the followings in bio paper especially, and there were lot many select incorrect statements among the following, select correct statements among the following. So paper was not difficult. Paper was really good. It was really easy. Only the thing is, to read those like sentences, four sentences you have to read, and then eliminate one. So it takes time. So that is the reason it became a bit lengthy in reading and marking. But technically, it was, like a very beautiful type of paper. Very easy and very, simple paper. Bio was really good. Really good. Yeah. He would tell for physics. Or sir will help you all to understand about physics, of course. But bio paper, now it was very nice. It was really very nice. I mean, there are a few students of mine who have got full 360 on 360. And there are many more who have got 355 out of 360. So 360 on 360 भी है bio में, पक्का है. So it was a nice paper. I was very happy. And whatever, like last 1.5 months, whatever practice I had taken now, same to same, everything was the same that came. So, it was very nice. No, beta, labeling the diagram is not there in examination for NEET. No, no labeling. They don't ask you to draw anything. They don't ask you to label anything. It's a very straightforward type of a question, but yeah, it becomes a tricky because you have to match the following वाले जो होते हैं उसमें थोड़ा सा time जाता है ना, to match and search the answers. So it was a bit lengthy, but it was very nice, very nice. And I'm sure even you all will do very nicely in your examinations also. That time also the papers will be really good. You know why it will be really good? Because you will follow now whatever I'm saying. You will obey now whatever I'm saying. So if you really obey whatever I'm saying, and if you really do the things that I tell you, then even you would be the ones whom I'll be telling the next batch students that I have got many students with 360 on 360. So that time you would be among them. Right? Yes, of course. I'll be very proud to tell all, like the way I'm telling now. Of course, I'll tell you the names also once the results are out. So there are many students seriously who have got, about 355 and 360 wale bhi hai. And I'll be very happy to share your names with my, junior students who would, right now they are in 9th standard, and when they'll come to 11th standard, you will be already given your NEET and you will be already cleared your examinations and reached your, goals. So that time I'll be telling them, I've got many students who have got 360 and 360. Right? So I'll be very happy to take your names. What is this year we cannot say, till now we cannot get the cutoff right now. We can only see, and one more thing, because now the topic of exams is going on, but there is one more thing that you need to remember, that do not get dejected with the AIR ranking. All India rank might not be very good, but we have to wait for the SML. SML is the state merit list. So in Maharashtra state, what is the cutoff is very important, because if you want to go out of Maharashtra and take the admission, then you have to worry about AIR. But if you are going to take admission in Maharashtra only, then don't get like nervous because of the AIR ranking. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so medical का AIR जो होता है वो बहुत अलग होता है. So don't worry about it. AIIMS, first 1000 ranks will be for AIIMS. नीट के पहले 1000 रैंक जो होते हैं ना, उनको एम्स के लिए एडमिशन मिल जाती है, फर्स्ट 1000 रैंकर्स, बिकॉज 1000 सीट्स है एम्स में. सो फर्स्ट 1000 रैंक्स विल गो फॉर एम्स. ओके, you don't have to give any other exam. That's what in total I'm talking about, not only Delhi, I'm talking everywhere, all over India में जितने एम्स है ना उसकी बात कर रही हूँ. I'll be guiding you all continuously with all the, admission process and everything. Don't worry about it. All the cutoffs for all the different fields of medicine and everything, I'll be there with you. I'll give you everything in detail. Okay. There are so many aims. There are so many. 7 very well known and few more coming up. Even Maharashtra, they are planning to have aims in coming years, but they haven't decided when. This is a very like in Marathwada, they are, planning to have aims. But UP is going to have new 3 AIMS colleges. Yeah. It's many places. It's you've got in Haridwar, Jodhpur. I've got many students in Jodhpur, Rishikesh. There are many. Okay, but Maharashtra doesn't have. Maharashtra doesn't have a single AIMS college till now. So they are planning to have one now. Let's hope within 2 years, if they can manage, then even you are going to have a chance to get AIMS Maharashtra. Right? So let's hope for the best. Anyways, because of this COVID situation, now more medical colleges are upcoming in different parts of the country. So obviously the number of medical seats are going to increase within the next couple of years. So I should say you all are lucky. You should say thanks to COVID in that case, Hena? Because at least now people realize that there is need for more medical seats. So hopefully within 2 years, the upgradation will be done. Okay. Well, so any difficulty in declining or unisexuality with monoecious plants and dioecious plants? Any problem? This is the first contrivance or first adaptation that we are looking at for cross-pollination to occur. Okay. Second is dichogamy. Dichogamy में क्या होता है देखो. In bisexual flowers, when 2 sexes mature at different intervals. So just now someone asked me that if both male and female gametes are present in the same flower, then it should be, showing self-pollination. So that time I told you that I'll explain that it might not be the case always. Hai. So look at this. This is the case which is different. The flower is bisexual, but the maturation of female and the male world is at different time intervals. Okay, again, this is going to be of 2 types. Protoandry and protogyny. Protoandry means androecium develops first, gynoecium अभी तक mature नहीं हुआ है. And protogyny, gynoecium matures first, androecium अभी तक mature नहीं हुआ है. Okay, so in this case, they have to rely on agents for cross-pollination, right? So in bisexual plants, when 2 sexes mature at different intervals and thus avoid self-pollination, is called as dichogamy. Okay. No, my dear, Nagpur has not yet started. नागपुर का सिर्फ स्टोन लेइंग हुआ है, उसके बाद वो स्टोन वैसे के वैसा ही है. उसके आगे उधर कुछ नहीं हुआ है. नागपुर एम्स, nothing. It's still that foundation. Well, then when stamens mature earlier than the stigma, it is called as protoandry, and the flowers are called as protoandrous flowers. Example: coriander, dhania, jasmine, sunflower, lady's finger. All these are having bisexual flowers, but it's of no use because their pollen grains are maturing quite early. So even if the pollen grain falls on the stigma of that flower, the ovule is not yet matured. So there is no use of, those pollen grains falling on the same stigma. Okay. On the other hand, when the stigma matures earlier than the stamens, it is known as protogyny, and the flowers are called as protogynous. Example: rose, tobacco, crucifers. So these are the ones which are going to be again bisexual, but of no use. Here the female is developing earlier than the male. The males are still going to remain immature. Okay, so this is dichogamy, right? So homogamy is exactly opposite of dichogamy, right? Yeah. The maturation would be instigated by some hormones. Yes. So if we give the required hormones, that is our intervention then. It's our intervention. In nature, it doesn't support. Okay. And the reason for not supporting is better progeny with better adaptability, more viability of the seeds, and so on. So the nature favors dipogamy. We can. Of course, we can do anything and everything. Nah? Human beings have got super brains. Well, so dicogamy is exactly opposite of homogamy, and declining is exactly opposite of bisexuality. So two are exactly opposite of each other, right? It becomes successful. It becomes successful. Yes. The third is heterostyly. Now, what do you mean by hetero? Hetero means different. Styly means स्टाइल स्टिग्मा ओवरी वाला स्टाइल. स्टाइल मतलब तुम लोग जो मारते हो वो स्टाइल नहीं. तुम्हारी हर एक के अलग अलग स्टाइल मारने की जो आदत है वो स्टाइल की बात नहीं कर रही. तो तुम बोलोगे मैम वी आर द मोस्ट बेस्ट एग्जांपल्स फॉर हेटेरो स्टाइल. हमारी अलग अलग स्टाइल्स होती है. हाँ, इट्स नॉट दैट स्टाइल. दिस स्टाइल इज स्टाइल स्टिग्मा ओवरी वाला स्टाइल, राइट? What does it see? The plants of some species in which flowers are dimorphic, showing two types of structures, is going to be dimorphic. Thus, they facilitate cross-pollination. Some of them possesses a long style, but short stamen. So style बहुत long है, stamen बहुत short है. तो क्या हो जाएगा बेटा? It's impossible for the pollen to reach there, ना? Pollen नीचे गिरेगा, स्टाइल ऊपर, स्टाइल के ऊपर स्टिग्मा. मतलब it's not possible for the pollen to reach the stigma, right? So how is it then going to help even if the flowers are bisexual? No use, right? These are known as pinnaed, while others have short style and very long stamen. These are known as thumb-eyed. I'll show you this. This is going to be your pinnaed. In pinnaed, look at this. This is the carpel. Style is so long, right? इधर तक आ रही है स्टाइल, और ये देखो पोलन इधर के इधर ही है. ओके, गॉट इट? तो पोलन ग्रेन इधर गिरेंगे, इधर तक आएंगे ही नहीं. They won't be able to reach over here. And this is thumb-eyed, where the pollens are very long and the style is so short. So generally these pollens are going to be drifted away by the wind to deposit their to throw away their pollens outside only. They are hanging outwardly. So these pollens are not going to reach this short structured carpel. Okay, so that is also one more reason for cross-pollination then. Understood? Heterostyly. Any difficulty with heterostyly? Pinnaed and thumb-eyed. Di means two. Morphic means structures. So different types of structures are seen in certain plants, like the different structures of style. One is a long style, one is a short style. Long style, short stamen. या फिर short style and very long stamen. Di means two, morphic means structures. Okay, two different types of structures. Any difficulty, beta? Any difficulty in this? Third contrivance clear? Pakka? Okay. So till now we have seen what? Declining or unisexuality first. Second one was, what was second one? Maturation at different times, protoandry and protogyny, right? That is called as dicogamy. Third is heterostyle. अब तक हमने तीन देखे, अभी आगे देखते हैं what will lead to cross pollination. Hercogamy. Hercogamy का मतलब होता है barrier. So sometimes there's going to be a barrier in between. Whom? The stamen and the carpel. Okay, just see. In some bisexual flowers, where the stigma and the anther mature at the same time, self-pollination is avoided by some sort of barrier. By some sort of barrier. कुछ एक बीच में है ना, एक ऐसा स्ट्रक्चर आ जाता है ना जो दोनों को सेपरेट करा देता है. Okay, they cannot come in contact with each other because of this barrier. Now, what is this barrier exactly? Just see. The flowers show the following contrivances. The male and the female sex organs lie at some distance from each other. So they are not going to be close. They're going to be at a particular distance. In some plants, corolla has a peculiar form which acts as a barrier in self-pollination. Corolla ही ऐसा है ना उसका. Corolla means petals. The petals will act like a barrier. Look over here. Look over here. Here you can see. See, ये petal कैसे आ गया देखो. It is almost folded ना to prevent the stigma to come in contact with the pollen. है ना? So this is the way, you know, there's going to be a barrier. अब यहाँ का जो है ना वो निकाला गया है. Therefore you can see these. Otherwise they'll be enclosed like inside the corolla. Okay. Example, Aristocolia. Then in some flowers, the pollens are held together to form pollinia, which can only be carried away by insects. You know what is pollinia? Pollinia is all the pollen grains. They are, you know, sticking together and they form a large composite structure, which is very difficult for pollination. So it's only going to be with the help of insects. Okay. So this is hercogamy. Yeah, you had in 9th standard. Some part is repeated again. I mean, 9th standard is a base of 11th standard rather, I would say. There are many things which are going to be repeated in 11th standard for bio, which are there in 9th. So I know this is there in 9th standard syllabus as well. Okay. हाँ, खुद के ही structures problem कर रहे इधर. Correct. That is hercogamy. Okay. So first was declining. Second was dichogamy. Third was heterostyly. Fourth is hercogamy. Are you all recollecting? Again and again I'm repeating the sequence. Right? Yeah. Not sterile. They are fertile, but they have to depend on the agents for pollination. Only then they are going to be fertile. Okay? That is hercogamy. Well, next we come to self-sterility. So what do you mean by this word self-sterility or incompatibility? When pollen grain of an anther do not germinate on the stigma of the same flower, then such flower is called as self-sterile or incompatible, or you know, a condition is called as self-sterility, intraspecific incompatibility, or self-incompatibility. That means, you know what? The anther is ready, the stigma is ready, the anther is going to drop the pollen grains on the stigma of the same flower. Okay, the pollen grain is of the same species, same plant, same flower, yet it is going to be disregarded. It is not going to be accepted, right? So this is called as self-sterility. They are not going to accept their own types. Okay. In these flowers, cross-pollination is the only means for fertilization and production of seeds. This is a genetic mechanism. So your genes are playing a very important role in, dispelling the own type of pollen grains. Nahi chahiye. Sometimes when pollen grains are going to select, this is the same type of ovule, I don't want to germinate. ऐसे भी होता है. तो दोनों तरफ से है. पोलन ग्रेन भी रिजेक्ट कर सकता है ओव्यूल को, और ओव्यूल भी रिजेक्ट कर सकता है पोलन ग्रेन को. ओके, सो इट्स बोथ द वेज. आई विल टेल यू हाउ बोथ द वेज आगे. ठीक है. इट्स ऑफ टू टाइप्स, GSI and SSI. GSI is gametophytic self incompatibility, while SSI is sporophytic self incompatibility. Now, what is GSI? What is SSI? I'm explaining in the coming, next slide. But at least you understood this, that what is self incompatibility? If the pollen grain genes and the ovule genes are the same, rejected. Okay. यहाँ बहुत नाटक है. ये बहुत नाटक है प्लांट्स का भी. इतना लगता है उतना सीधा नहीं है भाई कुछ भी. Right? So this is your, plants ka self-sterility or self-incompatibility. Now, what is GSI and what is SSI? Very beautifully. Again, I'm requesting you all, please pay attention to this part, because this is not very clearly given in your textbooks. So the language will be very difficult for you all to understand. And you will, have always a conflict in your mind that what is GSI and what is SSI. So I've put in a very simplified version. Kindly pay attention. Okay. First, I'll talk about the GSI. Gametophytic cell incompatibility. Here, the stigma is smooth and wet. Okay. Outcome of the interaction between the pollen tube and the style is determined by the genotype of the pollen. So, what is the genetic makeup of the pollen will be determined. Okay. And then it will be rejected. Okay. S locus products are synthesized after completion of meiosis. S locus products are nothing but male gametes formation. So here in this case, in case of GSI, the second male gamete which is going to be produced on the stigma will only be, completing if the genetic makeup is different, otherwise not. Okay. So the S locus products are synthesized after completion of the meiosis. Okay. Growth of the pollen tube arrests in the style. Now look over here. This is your S1, S2 of the pollen grain. This is S1, S2 of the ovule. See what has happened? Pollen tube has started to germinate, but arrested. आगे नहीं आने देगा. No, रिजेक्ट हो गया. कौन रिजेक्ट हो गया? पोलन ग्रेन रिजेक्ट हो गया. क्यों रिजेक्ट हो गया? ओव्यूल ने देखा. ओव्यूल मतलब एक्चुअली स्पीकिंग एम्ब्रियो सैक के सिनर्जिड ने देखा. In the last class I told you synergids are the one who are going to determine the determination factors. So the synergids have recognized, oh my god, whatever is our makeup, the same makeup is there of the developing pollen tube. Reject. So the pollen tube has started to develop, but it is arrested. So who is being rejected over here? Who is being rejected over here? किसका रिजेक्शन हो रहा है? देखो S1 S2 किसका रिजेक्शन हो रहा है बेटा? यस यस, S1 का मतलब S1 S2 इसमें दोनों का रिजेक्शन हो रहा है. मतलब the pollen grain is rejected. Okay, here if you can see S1 S2 and this is S1 S3. So S1 and S1 got rejected, but S2 and S3, yeah, fine, it's okay, you can come in. Correct? Understood this? Understood? Very important point. Yeah, of my type, of not my type. Yes, correct. No, it will degenerate, beta. That rejected pollen grain, na, it will get degenerated. It will get desiccated, सूख जाएगा, degenerate हो जाएगा. It will follow. Fine. So you understood this? So S1 and S2, S1 and S3. So S1, S1, reject. But S2, S3, okay, accepted. ठीक है? Look over here. S1, S2, S3, S4, totally different. So the pollen tube formation पूरा complete हो चुका है. हाँ, yes, yeah, right, exactly, beta. Got it now? So if the genetic makeup is of the same type, rejection. This is called as GSI. How is it rejected? See, again, I'm telling you all. Pollen tube and the style is determined by the genotype of the pollen. Pollen tube, there's an interaction between the pollen tube and the style. Okay, and it is determined by the genotype of the pollen grain. So pollen grain का genotype क्या है, उस हिसाब से उसको reject करना है या accept करना है, वो decide हो जाएगा. Okay, got it? हाँ, why is the difference necessary? Yeah, I'll tell you. When you come to know about the sporophyte, you will come. Okay. The thing is they want cross pollination. They are favoring what? They are favoring cross pollination, and that is the reason they want better progeny. They want better adaptability. They want more viable seeds. So they are doing with that intention. Okay. Well, look at this sporophytic SSI. Look, stigma is papillate, that is hairy and dry. So the stigma is dry. First point, here the stigma was wet. It is an outcome of the interaction between pollen tube and the style, which is determined by the genotype of the sporophyte and not of the pollen grain. Now, this is the most important point, beta. It is the genotype of whom? Sporophyte. What is the sporophyte? Which is the sporophyte over here? Who is 2N? Can you all tell me? Is pollen grain 2N? Is pollen grain diploid? Is pollen grain a product diploid? No. Yeah. MMC is diploid, I agree. But here, you know, what is that sporophyte, which is the diploid tissue? Thoda sa, you are right. You're very much on the correct lines, beta. You are very much on the correct line. Who acts as MMC? In case of carpel, which cell acts as megaspore mother cell? Come on. Can anyone tell me this answer? I told you one of the cells of dash acts like megaspore mother cell. What is that dash? Sporogenous cell. Agreed? Agreed? Very good. Zui, na? Yes. Zui, perfect answer which I wanted. Functional megaspore is haploid. It's a product of meiosis. But who will act as MMC? So Zui has given the right answer. Even sporogenous cell was not a wrong answer, but the group of cells, the group of sporogenous cells together, what we call them as? What we call them as? Come on, quickly. All the sporogenous cells together, what we call them? Sporogenous tissue का collection को हम कुछ कहते हैं बेटा. In case of carpel, you remember something called as? No, embryo sac is the functional megaspore, which is haploid. I'm talking about the diploid structure, which is going to have integuments over it, which is also called as the body of the ovule. Come on, now you should tell me the answer. What is that called as? Body of the ovule. Ah, now all of you are giving me the right answers. Perfect. Yes. Vaishnavi, Bhumi, Mehak, all of you are giving the right answers. Come on, others, give a try. Give a try. Body of the ovule is called as what, beta? बोलो बोलो. Easy question पूछ रही हूँ, इतना difficult थोड़ी ना है. It's nothing but it starts with N. Come on, I'm giving you a hint. N for nucleus. It starts with N. Now tell me. Very correct. Why a question mark? It should be the, confidently say this. You're right, Sadika. It's nucellus. So I told you all now, one of the cells of the nucellus acts as megapore mother cell, which will undergo meiosis. So here, that particular nucellus is going to be the one which is going to be the determinant for rejection. Okay, and it is not the pollen grain. Now the pollen grain has got a chance to reject this. The pollen grain will have a chance to reject, and not the, I told you now, it's two ways. Yahan par the pollen grain is rejected by the whom? Egg. Here the nucellus is going to get rejected by the pollen. Okay, so S locus products are synthesized before completion of the meiosis. Okay, growth of the pollen tube arrests at the surface of the stigma. ये देखो S1 S2 S1 S2. Pollen grain is not ready only to form the pollen tube. It has rejected. No, this is of my, like same genetic composition hai. No. Yes, you are right, Bhumi. You are right. Okay, so here you can see that there is no pollen tube formation at all. So now look at the difference between GSI and SSI. In GSI, the pollen tube formation has initiated. But in SSI, the pollen is not ready to germinate. It is saying no, same type of genetic makeup. I'm not going to germinate. Okay, so there is no pollen tube formation over here at all. Right? Got it? Now here, look at this. Here is S1, S2 and this is S1, S3. So technically यहाँ पर pollen tube बनना चाहिए था कि नहीं? S2 should have formed the pollen tube, right? Agreed. But here it is not being formed. You know why? You know why it is not being formed? Because here the stigma is dry. It will not synthesize the sugar syrup when someone else is going to be over here. Okay, so it's not going to allow anyone to accept that sugar syrup of the stigma, and therefore there is no pollen tube formation over here. Right, here it is exactly different. S3, S4, S1, S2. So there is no question of matching. So pollen tubes are going to be formed in the third case. Understood? So GSI and SSI. Any difficulty in understanding GSI and SSI? This is the only thing which needs to be understood perfectly. Otherwise, everyone else are very, very easy. Got it? Clear? Any difficulty? Any difficulty, beta? Any doubts? S locus products are synthesized before completion of the meiosis. That means the gametes are already formed. The gametes are already formed over here. Yes, correct. Bhumi, you're right. You're right. Perfect, beta. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So these were the contrivances for cross pollination. Okay. But that's all with the self pollination and cross pollination content. That is the point. Locus means the point where the synthesis will be taking place. S stands for synthesis. Okay. Okay. Agents. Now this is what I was talking about. This is a very what we say, a day-to-day life में हम लोग ये सब experience करते हैं. So cross pollination involves external agents for the transfer of pollen grains of one flower to the stigma of another flower. There are two main groups. So abiotic and biotic. Abiotic में wind, water. Water में we have got two, hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. And in biotic, we have got insects, bats, birds, snails, ants, animals, etc. So let us see how are they helping in pollination. First, abiotic agents, anemophily. When flowers are pollinated by wind, the phenomenon is called as anemophily. Now here you lose your marks. Anemo बोलने के बाद दिमाग में animals आते हैं. Anemo is wind pollinated. Okay. Wind is most common abiotic agent. Wind pollinated flowers produce very large amount of pollen grains to compensate for the wastage. So wind is just going to be, carrying along with its current, it's going to carry the pollen grain. So there is a lot of wastage during the transport. So they have to make a lot of pollen grains, right? Pollen grains of such plants are small, light, dry, and smooth. They need to be small. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for the wind to carry it. They have to be lightweight. Easily it's blown along with the wind. They have to be dry. If they stick to each other, unka weight bhi increase ho jayega. And they are smooth, right? So these are the important points that they ask you in your examinations, in your 12th board examinations, that write down the characteristics of anemophilous plants. So first, you should know that what is anemophilous plant. You have to define it, and then you have to write down these points. Okay. The female flowers have large, feathery or brush-like stigmas to catch the pollen grains. आगे मैंने उसका stigma का भी मैंने ना फोटो डाला हुआ है. Yeah. What's your doubt, beta? It is also said that crow acts as an agent at a particular time period. Yes. 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 You're perfectly right. You're perfectly right. Okay. Great. So that's biotic agent में आ जाएगा. Yes. You're right. You're right. Look at this. Now this is going to be, the typical, wind pollinated flower. This is going to be the inflorescence, that is arrangement of flowers. I told you, remember? This is going to be the anther. Look over here. They have given the justification of the anther. Anther is loaded with pollen. It dangles loosely. Dangles means hangs, okay, from the filament. This is the filament, right? Thus exposing the pollen. The filament is long and loose. This is also one of the important adaptations. Stigma is feathery and ideally adapted to catch the pollen. आगे मैंने ना स्टिग्मा का एक अच्छा वाला डायग्राम भी है, ये देखो. Here you can see the diagram of the feathery stigma. This is the feathery stigma here. So they are going to catch hold of the pollen grains. Wind pollinated flowers often have a single ovule in each ovary and numerous flowers packed into an inflorescence. So there are many flowers which are compactly, arranged together. And they will have one flower, one seed. Okay. Anemophilous flowers are small, inconspicuous, hidden. Inconspicuous का मतलब क्या होता है? Hidden. They cannot be seen, with like a normal flower जैसा दिखता है वैसे नहीं दिखता है वो. छोटे होते हैं, hidden होते हैं. With long and versatile stamens, we saw they are long. Versatile means moving in all directions. Example, sugarcane, maize, wheat, bamboo, pinus, papaya, grasses, date palm, coconut, mulberry, all are wind pollinated. Okay, fine. The type of pollination mainly observed in Gramineae family. This is your monocotyledon ka family, Gramineae family. Okay, understood? So these type of things they ask you in your examinations, that write down the adaptations for wind pollination, anemophilous flowers. Simple, but still. Second is hydrophily. As the name says, the transfer of pollen grains through the agency of water is called as hydrophily. The water pollinated plants are called as hydrophilous plants. The floral adaptations are as follows. The flowers are unisexual, small, inconspicuous. They are without any fragrance, bright color and nectar. अरे पानी को attract करने के लिए कुछ चाहिए क्या? Will the water get attracted with the fragrance, with the bright color, with the nectar? No. So the flowers are not going to waste their time in making all these things, right? Pollen grain and other floral parts are unwettable. That is, they are covered with mucilage. Unwettable means they are not, the water is not going to percolate inside and cause the swelling of them. Never. They'll float in water. Okay, so the parts are unwettable. Yeah, waxy coating. Yes, yes, correct, my dear. Specific gravity of the pollen grain is controlled by the formation of one or more starch grains in the pollen. So what is the tendency, or what should be the thing that should happen in hydrophily? That the pollen grain should not sink at the bottom. The pollen grain should float in water. So to maintain the buoyancy, there would be starch grains made inside it, which will keep the pollen grains to remain in a floating condition. Okay? तुम लोग को आती है कि नहीं swimming? You know how to swim? Or no? Never tried? You know? That's good. कैसे सिखाया? Who taught you? If you have been to any coaching of swimming का कुछ coaching होता है तो कैसे कराते हैं बेटा वो लोग वहां पर? Swimming classes में कैसे कराते हैं? पीछे floats लगाते हैं ना तुम्हारे? Right? They put floats on your back, right? हाँ. That's the best thing to do, Shwet. In village Ponto is the best thing. You learned on your own? Oh my God, that's great. That's nice. Yeah, that's the best thing. Yeah, but here, like wherever you go for swimming classes, they'll put floats on your back and they'll throw you in the water. They know you're not going to sink. Why? Because the specific gravity is going to match your body weight, and the specific gravity of the water should match. Okay, then you won't sink. So in the same way, to match the specific gravity of the water, the pollen grains are going to have certain adaptations like making of starch grains. So they'll keep on floating and they won't sink to the bottom. Okay. Well, so that is what is about the specific gravity. Stigma is long and it is sticky. Very important point. Hydrophily is of two types. hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. Hypo means below, epi means above. So there are certain group of plants which are going to show pollination below the water body, I mean below the surface of the water, and some are going to be, the pollination will take place on the surface of the water. Okay, so hypo and epi is the two types of water pollination. See, hypohydrophily, pollination with the help of water takes place below the water surface in the hydrophytes. Hydrophytes means water loving plants. Okay, bearing submerged female flowers. See, I have made that word female flowers in bold and in red and in capitals. That means it's going to have some important point to be registered in your mind. So kindly note this down, but a very important point, that in hypohydrophily, the female flowers are submerged below the water. Okay? Here you can see them very clearly. These are the female flowers which are submerged below the water. Okay? Such plants produce needle-like long pollen grains which lack an enzyme. You know, last class we have already studied the structure of intine and enzyme. So in these needle-like pollen grains of the hypohydrophily, they do not have enzyme. So they are very long ones. These pollen bear some same specific gravity as that of the water. Therefore, they float below the surface of the water. They don't sink to the bottom. Such floating pollen grains, when come in contact with the stigma, that is the female flower stigma, they coil around it and germinate on the stigma. So these are the needle shaped, you can see this? Needle shaped pollen grains. See, they are so long. No, they don't have any germ pores. Yeah, they don't have any germ pores. They are very long now. They'll coil around the stigma of the female flowers and they'll deposit their pollens on the stigma in such a way. But where is it taking place? The stigma is going to be inside the female flower and the female flowers are submerged in the water. So this particular type of pollen grain deposition will be taking place below the water. Therefore, it's going to be called as hypohydrophily. Correct? Got it? On subsequent germination, the male gametes reach to the ovules and bring about fertilization. Example, Zostera and Ceratophyllum. So this is Zostera and this is Ceratophyllum. Okay, so this is the way hypohydrophily takes place. What are the points to be remembered? Female flowers are submerged. The pollen grains are needle shaped. They do not have an enzyme. And when they come across or when they encounter the stigma of the submerged flowers, they coil around it, they deposit their pollens. Pollens will form the pollen tube to make the gametes reach the egg and fertilization is ensured. Okay, understood hypohydrophily, beta? Any difficulty in this? Any doubts in this? Anyone who has got any difficulty? That's hypohydrophily. Epihydrophily. When pollination occurs on the surface of the water, it is called as epihydrophily. It is seen in Vallisneria, which is a dioecious plant. Dioecious means you should know now that male flower bearing plant is different, female flower bearing plant is different, right? The male and the female flowers are submerged and produced on different plants. Now here, so both are submerged. Then how it is epihydrophily? ये दिमाग में आएगा ना, है ना? Why the pollen grains are in needle shape? So that they can coil around the stigma and deposit the pollen grains. It's an adaptation, right? Okay. Now what will happen? See, at the time of maturity, very important point, huh? Just so beautiful mechanism. Just see. At the time of maturity, the male flowers get detached from the male inflorescence. That is the male parent se wo detach ho jate hain and they begin to float on the surface of the water. So now the female flowers are no more in contact with the parent plant. So the female flowers are now floating on the surface of the water. Okay. Now what happens with the female flowers? Just see. The female flowers have coiled long pedicel. Pedicel, I told you already, the stalk of the flower is going to be called as the pedicel. So they have a very long and coiled stalk. Okay. Which undergoes uncoiling at the time of maturity. So now see, already on the surface, the male flowers are floating. The female flowers, once they get mature, they will start uncoiling. They'll come near the surface of the water. इतने लंबे ऐसे अनकॉइलिंग करके उनका सरफेस ऊपर तक, उनके सरफेस के यहाँ तक, पानी के सरफेस के यहाँ तक वो आ जाते हैं, right? They now reach the water surface and get surrounded by the detached male flowers which are already floating on the water surface. So here in the diagram, it's very well you can see this. This is the male flower, right? This is the male inflorescence. You can see over here. This is the male inflorescence. And the male flowers are already floating. See, you can see these. These are the male flowers. They're already floating on the surface of the water. This is the female plant. See, you can see this coiled pedicels, right? So this flower has matured. So it has underwent uncoiling and it is coming to lie on the surface of the water, which will get surrounded by the male flowers. Fine. They undergo anthesis, that is formation of pollen at maturity, due to which pollen grains are deposited on the stigma of the flower and cross-pollination is achieved. So this is called as epihydrophily. Seaweed comes under hydrophily. Seaweeds are actually algae. They are not flowering plants. Okay, they are not going to flower. We see this small flower. Yeah. We can see them. If you go to the, any lakes or even, on the beach and all, now you can see these flowers floating very clearly. Okay, so any doubts with hypo and epi का difference बेटा? इसमें ना में उसमें कैसा है ना, हाइपो में है ना नीडल शेप पोलन ग्रेन्स रिलीज होते हैं, फ्लावर्स नहीं रिलीज होते हैं. इसमें फ्लावर्स रिलीज होते हैं, मेल फ्लावर्स रिलीज होते हैं. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट है डिस्टिंग्विश का. एनी डिफिकल्टी, एनी प्रॉब्लम विद दिस? Remember the examples. In epi, it is only one, Vallisneria, and in hypohydrophily, there are two. One is Ceratophyllum, right? And the other is Zostera. So Zostera and Ceratophyllum. Please remember these examples. They've asked many times. Many times. Then we come to biotic agents, which we are very much acquainted with. We see them almost every day. Entomophily, when pollination is brought about by the agency of insects, it is known as entomophily or insect pollination. About 80% pollination occurs by insects like moths, bees, butterflies, wasps, and even bumblebees. Okay. All the flowers pollinated by insects are brightly colored. Obviously, उनको क्या करना है? उनको attract करना है ना? So they have to be brightly colored. They have a sweet fragrance, and they also produce nectar. So these all are what? Attractants to attract the insects to come near them and ensure pollination. Okay. Entomophilous flowers produce a small amount of pollen, which has spinous and sticky exine due to the presence of pollen kit. I had already told you what is pollen kit when I explained about the pollen grains. The stigmas of such flowers are long, rough, and sticky. So what would happen because of the spiny exine? What would happen? These pollen grains will stick to the mouth parts, to the legs, to the body, to the wings of these insects, and they'll ensure pollination. Correct? So these are the adaptations of entomophilous type of flowers. The insects visit the flowers for nectar, edible pollen, and shelter. Bees obtain both nectar and pollen grains from the flowers, and they also have a basket for collecting pollen on their back. Were you aware of this? That honeybees have got baskets on their back to collect pollen grains? Never, na? But yes, it is there. Salvia is an excellent example of insect pollination in which pollination occurs by lever pipe mechanism or turnpipe mechanism. I'll explain what is salvia ka lever pipe in the next slide. Other examples of insect plants are yucca and pronuba moth, orchid and ophrys, that is by Colpa aurea, which is a hairy wasp, and ficus by Blastophaga. So you can see this blastophaga is also a bee. So here you can see this is Ophrys and wasp. Ophrys is the name of this flower. This purple lilac color ka flower you can see. It's Ophrys. It's an orchid. And can you see this one brown color ka? This is the wasp. Okay. Now what happens, ये जो पर्पल कलर का आपको फ्लावर दिखाई दे रहा है ना, उसका एक पेटल होता है ना, one of the petals of this. You can't see that petal because on that petal ना this wasp is sitting. So you cannot see that petal. But that petal resembles very much similar to the female wasp. ये जो wasp है ना, कॉल्पा, ये कॉल्पा का फीमेल के जैसा उसका पेटल दिखता है. तो ये जो वास्प है ना, it gets attracted to this flowers. Why? उसको लगता है it is the female who is present over there. It is actually the petal का shape and color which is different from other petals to attract this wasp for pollination. Okay, this is called as pseudo copulation. Pseudo is false. Copulation is depositing the spermatozoa into the female genital tract. So they actually come for that, but it is false. It's not true because it's the petal of the flower and it is not the female wasp who is sitting over there. Okay, so that is one particular one. And here you can see this is the fig. Fig समझते हो? Ficus is fig. Fig. अंजीर बोलते हम लोग उसको. खाया आपने? गीला वाला अंजीर. वो बाद में सुखा के उसके वो सर्कुलर ये बना के देते हैं. That's a different thing. हाँ. Only male wasps help in pollination. Yes. Only male wasps. Okay. Yes. You have seen fig. अंजीर खाया है कभी? अंजीर, गीला वाला अंजीर, और उसके अंदर बहुत सारे सीड्स होते हैं. देखो, फिग कहते हैं हम लोग उसको. इंग्लिश में भी कॉल्ड एज फिग. हिंदी में और मराठी में उसको अंजीर कहते हैं. या इट्स लोडेड विद सीड्स, है ना? या सो यू नो व्हाट बेटा, दैट पर्टिकुलर अंजीर है ना, उसके अंदर कभी भी, आई डोंट नो इफ यू हैव हर्ड अबाउट इट, बट आई ऑलवेज टेल माय सन एंड माय पेरेंट्स ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू टेल मी दैट अंजीर को है ना हमेशा ओपन करके खाना चाहिए. You should not eat it directly. Like how you eat an apple now, you should never eat it directly. You have to always, cut it into 2 pieces, check if there are any worms inside, and then only eat it. I don't know if you all have heard of it. But why do we do like that, Because these, honeybees, the bees which come now, they are going to deposit their eggs in the fig ka flower. Okay, and then when the fig ka flower is maturing now, it's getting converted into the fruit. Especially that time now, these eggs hatch out as small larvae, and many a times in figs now you can see this larvae. छोटे छोटे brownish whitish color के larvae होते हैं अंदर. Yeah, it should be done for every fruit, but especially for fig, so you have to do it. You cannot eat it directly. So next time when you buy figs now, be careful. Open it, precisely check if there is any brownish color, whitish color के कीड़े हैं क्या अंदर. Yeah, you can eat its skin. Yeah, you can eat its skin. It's eaten as whole only. Only you have to check in at the center, because these honeybees, you can see so many honeybees hovering over it. See in the diagram, you can see in the photograph. So those honeybees are going to come over there and they're going to lay the, eggs in there. So that is your insect pollination, in fact, of course. Okay. Yucca and Pronuba, Yucca, Pronuba. Yucca is going to be a very tall plant, and it has got a very, it's very tall and it has got flowers only at the apex. So in that Yucca ka flower, the Pronuba moth will come and lay its eggs. Just like how ficus is going to happen with the ficus and the bee. Same way. Yeah, same, yeah, exactly. Correct. Okay. Then we talk about the salvia ka lever pipe mechanism. Just look over here. This diagram says it all. You don't have to do anything extra in this. Just see. So this is the salvia plant. Okay. This is one of the petals which is going to act like a stage. Stage means landing space. Right? And this is another petal which is going to be having, see, the anther dropping out from here. It's propelling outside this anther. So what will happen now? The pollen gets attached or gets dusted on the body of the insect. So when the insect is trying to move in now, what is happening? This upper wala petal is bending downwards, but the niche wala petal is strong and sturdy. It won't bend. Okay. So just like your door, how the door will open only in one direction. That is your lever. In the same way, this second petal will remain as it is as a stage. And the first petal now, it will bend down. And when it bends down, when the insect moves inside, see the pollen grains are getting dusted over here. Can you see? Correct. Now there is another flower. This is another flower which is having intact stigma. Here the pollen grain is already shed off. Okay, so we can definitely say salvia is also going to be an example of protoandry. The pollen grains are already shed off. Stigma is intact, right? Here the stigma is yet to develop. Can you see? Here the pistil is yet to develop. It has not yet developed. It's halfway. Correct? But this has already developed now. Another flower. So now what will happen? The same particular insect, when we'll try to push into this particular flower now what will happen? Now what will happen? This is going to come and get stuck over here. So pollen gets transferred to the stigma. So here the stigma is going to be coming downwards. The pollen grains are already present on the body of the insect. They get stuck. Okay. So this is called as your lever pipe mechanism, या फिर turnpipe mechanism seen in salvia plant. Please don't forget the name of the plant and the name of the mechanism. Is it fine? Okay. Salvia both mature at different time. Yeah. It doesn't trap. No, it's not going to trap. No. Why the insect goes inside? To collect nectar, to get the sweet nectar from it. It's going to go deeper and deeper and try to extract that nectar from it. Okay, got it? Any difficulty with the lever pipe mechanism, turnpipe mechanism, beta? Salvia as an example. Okay, sure, fine. Then ornithophyly, very simple. अभी आगे इतना tension वाला है नहीं. Simple है. When flowers are pollinated by birds, the phenomenon is called as ornithophyly. The most common bird pollinators are sunbird, hummingbird, bulbul, parrot, myna, etc. The birds visit large variety of flowers such as bombax, which is red silk cotton, erythrina, coral tree, calestemon, wattlebrush, bignonia, agave, etc. Look at the flowers, how big they are, right? Flowers are brightly colored and produce plenty of nectar and large quantities of pollen. Hummingbird pollinates while hovering over the flowers and sucking nectar. Hovering means moving around it. ये जो है ना, ये hummingbird है. ये देखो, ये ऐसे घूमते 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 nectar लेता जाता है उसमें से, flowers में से. The bird can derive about half of its body weight of nectar in a single day. इतना nectar पी लेते हैं लोग कि उनका half of the body weight तक वो लोग अपना nectar ले लेते हैं, चूसते हैं. Okay. The nectar is chiefly made up of sugars and provides a sweet drink for that particular bird. तो उनको अगर शरबत मिल रहा है तो how will they not come over there? Look how it is put its beak deep inside and trying to take the nectar. Even this one, right? Chiropterophily, you can very well see this is bat pollinated. This is the bat. It is a mode of pollination performed by bats. The flowers they visit are large, dull colored and have a strong scent. एक typical odor होता है उनका, उस एक अलग ही एक smell आता है उस flowers का. So actually that flower is like a fermenting fruity odor आता है उसका. I'll talk about it. See, Chiropterophilus flowers produce abundant pollen grains. These flowers secrete more nectar than ornithophilus flowers, but they open only at night. Can you tell me why they open only at night? There are nectar glands present, beta. There are nectar glands present to develop the nectars. Okay. Yeah, they open at night for the bats because bats are, yes, very well, correct answer. Yes, yes, yes. They are nocturnal, no, nocturnal. So they only come out during the night. Perfect. So these flowers are going to open only during the night. They emit rotten fruits like fermenting fruity odor. Okay. Rotten fruits का एक typical smell देते रहते हैं. Sweet over ripened fruits के कैसे smell आते हैं ना, वैसा smell आता है ये flowers में से. Example, Kygella pinnata, sausage tree, Adonsonia, baobab tree, Bauhinia, Anthocephalus. Anthocephalus you know ना, कदम tree. कदम के flowers बहुत famous होते हैं. They make garlands of it. Yeah, bats get attracted to this rotten fruit odor. कदम के ये कदम का ही है बेटा, ये जो फ्लावर है ना ये कदम का ही फ्लावर है. Okay, so that is Chiropterophily. Malcophily, pollination by slugs and snails is called as malcophily. Land plants like chrysanthemum and water plants like lemna show malcophily. Arismia, that is snake plant, is often visited by snails. See, it is called as snake plant, but it is visited by snails. इसीलिए ये point यहाँ पर मैंने डाला है. Arismia जो है ना, it is called as a snake plant, but it is going to be visited by whom? Snails. Okay. Ophiophily, pollination by snake is called as ophiophily. Example, santalum, that is chandan. Okay, it appears like that. They are twiners. It appears like snake, so it's called as snake plant. And this is a true snake. Can you see over here how the snake has, you know, completely coil करके बैठे हैं मस्त. Correct? Myromecophily is going to be pollination by ants. You can see these. These are the ants which are also going to act like pollinating agents. So this is called as Myromecophily. Okay. So these are all the phyllies. Each snail, they do come. They do come. Due to fragrance, yes. Yes. Due to fragrance, they get attracted, of course. So entomophily. In case of biotic agents, I'm talking about entomophily, ornithophily, chiropterophily, malcophily, ophiophily, myromecophily. All are biotic agents. Abiotic में anemophily, that is wind pollinated, hydrophily, in hydrophily water pollinated, two types, hypohydrophily and epihydrophily. Is it okay? Have you all understood this? है ना? I won't start with pole and pistil interactions today. I'll stop for today, and in the next class, we'll go ahead with pole and pistil interactions. My dear, a humble request to all of you all. I'll take 2 more lectures to complete this particular chapter. By next week, we'll complete this chapter. But both the lectures are equally important. Equally important. Many important facts which are unknown to you all need to be known, and it's a conceptual thing. So, beta, please kuch bhi ho jaye na, don't miss these chapters. Don't miss these lectures. Okay? They are very important. Pole and pistil onwards. Fine? Wait. So we stop for today, and next class we can go ahead. Procedure of okay. Have to see the remaining recordings. Yeah. Please see the recordings, beta. Please see the recordings. It will be easy. Procedure for homework submission. Now they have assigned you na that 11th standard assignment क्योंकि कुछ तो homework का ये डाला है ना. So just take a photograph and submit. You will be able to submit it now. Okay. Fine. Chalo. Bye bye. See you all. And next week we'll complete this chapter for sure. Okay, bye.